Welcome back, guys. Did you guys miss me? You guys must know that there is an update today, and of course there will be 3 new ships today, so we are doing a data mine. This will be the first time in Azur Lane history that we will have a rerun of a collaboration event. This is the Dead or Alive Venus Vacation event. First time ever, so it sets a precedent, and we are getting new ships with it, which is interesting. They announced those new ships on the live stream just this Monday. So this rerun will work a little bit differently than some other reruns. The traditional event will rerun exactly the same with the exact same mini events. However, we will also be getting a new mini game. Yes, it's literally called Butt Battle. And there will be a separate banner where the rate up will only apply to the 2 new ships in case you already have all of the old ones. I really like this compromise for veteran players who have everything, so we can just get the rate up for the ships that we want, and newer players who want the whole thing can get the extra rate up for the older ships as well. Choose your poison. 2 banners. Also, all of the rerun ships as well as the 2 new Venus Vacation ships are going to get Augment Modules with this update. So we'll take a look at those as well today. Many of those Augment Modules will be obtainable through purchase in the event shop. The newly updated event shop will also have an exchange ticket selector item so that you'll be able to select at least one of any of the rerun collaboration ships for free. Also, the accumulation rewards of the event will be changed a little bit to add the new Augment Modules for a ship like Nyotengu. Other than that, there will be a few other minor changes, from some additional rewards to a new event map to a reduced number of captures that you'll need to reach 100% clearing rate. And of course, your progress will be saved from the first event if you did play that event. So while it is going to be a rerun, in a lot of ways there's going to be new content added, so it might feel somewhat like a new event if you've already played that first event. Additionally, when I started this video, I said there will be 3 new ships, and I've only mentioned 2 new ships. Well, there will be Little Formidable. She will be coming as well. She'll come to your dock for free, and then you'll have to do some missions to get her to stay. Pretty typical for the little ships, but we will go over Little Formidable as well. Actually, let's get her out of the way first. Alright, so we're going to talk about Little Formidable first. She is an aircraft carrier just like her older version, but she will be an elite version rather than SR. Stat-wise, she will have very similar stats to her base version, all just minorly reduced. She'll have a little bit less health, a little less aviation, a little bit less reload, which that kind of sucks. She's going to have the exact same loadout as the original Formidable, which I remember as being really good at the time. It has a lot of damage potential. It's a little bit slow, but it is decent loadout. So overall stat-wise, she's halfway decent because Formidable has halfway decent stats. I actually thought Formidable stats were going to be really good, and then I looked at them again and I was like, oh right, she's old and power creep. Anyway, let's get into the skills. Skill number 1, when she launches an airstrike, she will randomly slow an enemy for 5 seconds, and the slow depends on a random chance. It can either be 60%, 40%, or 20%. I assume they're equal weighted. So basically, it is just a weaker version of her original slow. I do like the fact it lasts for 5 seconds, but it only targets 1 enemy, and it has random chance, and it's not even a complete freeze, even at best proc. So yeah, this isn't that good of a slow, but it is a slow nonetheless. Skill number 2, every 20 seconds she gets to heal herself for 5%, that's new for Formidable, and then she summons a Fairy Albacore Barrage, which is like her original form. If she had over 90% HP left at the time when she would heal herself 5%, she heals all the other ships in the fleet 1% instead. So the little ship has a heal, that's cool. A lot of the little ships are given kind of these minor heals that don't do too much. Little Formidable is very clearly not better than her original version, but she is definitely usable, so if you want to make little ships your fleet, you can definitely bring her along. She's probably one of the better little ships as far as that goes. Still a collection only ship though. Alright, and with that out of the way, let's get back into Venus Vacation, the main event. We're going to start off with the SR battlecruiser Tamaki. Stat-wise, she looks very much more like a battleship rather than a battle cruiser. She's got a good HP pool and heavy armor. In fact, just stat-wise alone, she's more powerful than the original battleship of this event, Honoka. So stat-wise, she looks like your typical event banner target ship. The battleships are typically this way, but we'll really need to know her skills to see if she's going to be really good or even worth targeting, but I'm guessing that if you're going to be a new player, this is a decent base of a battleship to acquire. Skill number 1, while she's alive, all of your enemies' firepower and torpedo stats are reduced by 8%. This feels a lot like a weaker version of Amagi, who includes the aviation stat as well as being 9%. Anyway, back to Tamaki's skill. Every 16 seconds, randomly give 2 Venus Vacation ships a shield with 3% max HP, and they last for 8 seconds. I assume if she's alone in a fleet without any other Venus Vacation ships, she can actually give herself this shield because she qualifies. But obviously, to get the full benefit of this, you're going to want to put her in a Venus Vacation ship fleet, or at least have a friend. Also, she's going to increase her secondary gun range to 80, which is actually pretty far. Most of the farthest battleship secondary guns are going to be at like 70 max, so 80 is actually pretty far. And it does make a difference because it's going to be starting to be like towards the end of the map. Also, when she fires her secondary gun, she reduces one enemy's speed by 40% for 3 seconds. The way that I'm reading this is it's a random enemy, not necessarily the enemy that she hits with her gun, and it prioritizes elite enemies. It also has an 8-second cooldown, so it's kind of like an interesting version of a slow, but you need to have like suicide ships that are coming into her for her to be able to use it. It's not a full freeze though. 40% though is not bad. There's a lot of things going on in this skill. Nothing is particularly bad, but I'm not really certain where they're going with this ship yet. And we only have one other skill left, so let's move on to it. Her main gun efficiency goes up by 10%, so that puts her at 145 instead of 135. That's nice. Her hit stat and her firepower stat go up by 10%. Can't complain about those. Those are important battleship stats, or battle cruiser stats in this case. When she fires her main gun, there's an 80% chance that she procs a special barrage that inflicts armor break to anything that it hits. All right, she's a barrage battleship. That means we're going to want to put a main gun on her that has a short cooldown period. I can't be surprised that the main target of the banner battleship is going to be a barrage battleship. That's very standard for Azur lane to do. And I think this is an important point, is we should probably get into talking about the augment modules rather than having them in a separate section. I'm going to actually just talk about Tamaki's augment module right now because it's part of her ship. They're literally releasing together, so can it even be considered like improvement because she's releasing with it? I mean, of course, you're going to want to have an augment module if it's available, and all of these ships will have augment modules starting today. Tamaki's augment module looks like Macron's. It will give her 28 firepower stat and 20 hit stat. Don't scoff on that 20 hit stat. That's actually very good. Also, her skill is for the first 30 seconds of the battle, minus 20% damage taken. Hello. Okay, that will make her very tanky. And then after the first 30 seconds, she gives all Venus Vacation ships, including herself, plus 15% anti-air. That's definitely not as good, but it is like half decent, especially if you're trying to run Venus Vacation fleet in World 14, World 13, things like that. Additionally, it will upgrade her barrage skill to 100% proc chance instead of 80% proc chance, and she'll fire the barrage when she fires the secondary gun for the first time, which honestly should be pretty early in the battle in most situations. So she'll get a barrage early in the battle, and then she'll get a barrage every time she fires her main gun. This is a very good augment module, actually, and does make Tamaki a lot better. We don't have to worry about the barrage not proccing anymore. Who doesn't like 20% damage reduction and hit stat? I mean, that's pretty basic, but that's very good. So Tamaki is a lot better with this augment module. You definitely need this to use Tamaki well. Tamaki is actually a pretty decent ship, and you'll be able to use her if you're a newer player and don't have a good barrage battleship yet. I do know that that can be a struggle when you're just starting off, so this is a very easy way to get that. And if you are a veteran player, you know, she's probably gonna be more collection because she's, you know, there are other battleships up there that are better, that are URs, things like that. But if you do want to play a theme fleet around Venus Vacation per se, she's going to be very good and probably necessary to do that and clear higher level content with Venus Vacation ships. All right, next up we have the SR light aircraft carrier Luna, and stat wise she kind of looks like a light aircraft carrier. I mean, her health pool is a little bit higher than what I'm used to, but her aviation is very low. She's medium armor, and man oh man did that plane loadout suck. 2 fighters, 4 torpedo bombers, and an anti-air gun. So we only have 6 planes. 2 of them have to be fighters. I guess it's better than a 3-3 loadout, so you know, it could be worse, but I think she's gonna struggle with that plane loadout and her aviation is like under 400, which, like I said, she's a light aircraft carrier collab ship, so this is not unexpected, but she's really going to need some really good skills, something unique to make her useful. So let's get into the skills here. When she launches an airstrike, she fires an aerial barrage that reduces the anti-air of the enemies hit by the barrage by 3%, and she does 10% more damage to those for 6 seconds. All right, so this is a damage dealing barrage that is on a light aircraft carrier that is going to struggle to do any damage. So, I mean, this skill would be pretty decent. I mean, it does reduce anti-air of everything that hits. It goes right before the planes will arrive because the barrage will hit and then the planes will arrive. But 3% anti-air is not a lot. Yes, the 10% damage is great, but it's on a bad ship. Like, she is a support ship. She's mostly there to like support the other ships. That's, what light carriers do. And 3% reduced anti-air, like, there are so many other ships that can do that better. And she's not going to be out damaging anybody significant, even with that 10% extra damage. And it's only 6 seconds. I know it will be fine for her own airstrike because by 6 seconds the planes will have come and done their damage. But if you wanted to pair this up with any other ship, it's going to be more challenging to do that because that's a small window. I don't really like this first skill, to be honest. Second skill, she gets plus 10% aviation, which, at 369, that's not that important because she's much lower, but it helps, close the gap and get her a little bit higher. Also, the first 2 airstrikes she has have their cooldowns reduced by 50%. I love cooldown reductions, but I don't know. That's good. Cooldown reductions are good, but I'm not sure if that's going to make up for it. After the second airstrike has reloaded, her subsequent airstrike will have a 50% increased cooldown. So this is kind of like Perseus, where it's like, oh, you get 2 airstrikes early and then you get punished later for it, except Perseus gets 2 preloaded airstrikes and she still has 2 airstrikes at 50% reduced cooldown. And Perseus is a healing ship, and this one tries to deal damage. This one is not so good. Let's look at the augment module before we make a final conclusion, just to make sure. All right, looking at the augment module, we get plus 40 stat and plus 15 hit stat. Those are nice. We will definitely take those. And then for the first 30 seconds of the battle, she gets plus 10% hit stat as well. So really focusing on making sure that those bombs are accurate. After that ends, she takes 10% less damage. We like that, but once again, she's a medium armor light aircraft carrier. I know her health pool's a little bit higher than the traditional light aircraft carrier, but it's still not any good. It's a light aircraft carrier. Come on. Then for her upgraded skills, she's going to be affecting the cooldown reducing skills. She's no longer going to take that cooldown penalty after the first 2 cooldowns. This is nice, but it's not really that important, right? It just gets rid of a cost, and that cost was not really that big because hopefully you finish the battle before she launches her 3rd or 4th airstrike. But, obviously if you can get the augment module, use it. But Luna doesn't seem very good. I definitely think that Tamaki is a much stronger ship and should be the target of this banner. Luna, not so much. But, it is what it is. I really prefer having collab ships like this that are not meta defining. I think that would be not good. Generally for the game, we should have like real ships that are in, permanent banners or have rerun events that are going to be defining the meta. Before this event, I really had the argument that, we never reran events. So like having a meta defining ship an event that would maybe never come back is problematic. This is the first time we are doing a rerun, and that sets a precedent. So that does change that. I'm not sure that means we'll have reruns common for collabs. I think this is probably more of a one-off. Like, I don't think we're going to get the HoloLive rerun anyway. So, maybe they'll do a few of them. It means that it's not completely out of the picture that we could ever do a rerun collab event. But I still think that it's more likely they're not going to happen than they are. And I think this is more of a special one-off time. All right, let's cruise really quickly through the other augment modules and what they do to the old ships. Marie Rose gives her 40 torpedo stat and 18 firepower. She's definitely a destroyer, so that torpedo stat is nice. The firepower, For the first 60 seconds of the battle, she gets 15% extra reload. That is nice. After this effect ends, she takes 15% less damage. So I think that for these augment modules, I'm seeing a trend that they have, like, for the first X seconds, you get a skill, and then after the first X seconds, you get a different skill. That's interesting. I like it. I hope that that is something that they do in other augment modules more often. Also, the augment module is going to improve one one of her skills. Before, when she took damage, she would have a 10% chance to fire a special barrage that always crit. Now enemies that are hit by this special barrage will take 15% more firepower and torpedo damage from Marie Rose only. Marie Rose was already one of the best collab ships that there was, a destroyer albeit, but actually very good, and having this augment module actually makes her a lot better. I would say this is actually something that you should definitely pick up, especially if you plan on using Marie Rose, because she's actually something you would use non-ironically, like because she's actually good. All right, let's move on to Honoka, the battleship healer. She was actually one of the first battleship healers that was actually good. Sorry, Arizona. Her augment module is going to give her 35 firepower and 12 reload. I really like that reload. That's going to be helpful. For the first 50 seconds of the battle, she's also going to get an extra 10% accuracy or hit stat. After this effect happens, she's going to heal herself 5% of her max HP. So she's not going to heal herself. You know, that makes sense. She's a healing ship. And then she's also going to improve one of her skills, and it's definitely going to be the one that heals, which is great. Now her barrage chance will proc at 100% instead of 75%, and that barrage will be enhanced. It will still have its special burn, but just increase basically the damage that it outputs. Honestly, this augment module is not as good as the Marie Rose ones, but it is pretty good. It gives herself a 5% heal at the 50-second mark, gives her some extra reload, and some extra damage to kind of keep up with the power creep. Next up, we'll talk about Kasumi, and no, not the cute little ghost girl destroyer, but actually the heavy cruiser from Venus Vacation. Her augment module is going to give her an additional 30 firepower and 10 evasion. 10 evasion is great for a heavy cruiser, and typically 30 firepower would be great for a heavy cruiser as well, although she's a torpedo heavy cruiser, which was part of the reason that she was bad in her original form. Also, she's gonna, for the first 50 seconds of the battle, get 5% damage reduction, and then after this effect ends, she's gonna get a 3% heal for herself. That's actually really good. That makes her a lot tankier. She's gonna have 10 extra evasion stat, you know, reduction of damage for the first 50 seconds, and then she's going to heal off that. That's really nice. Also, she's going to upgrade one of her skills, the one that says when she basically sinks 3 enemies, she's going to get 15% extra hit stat. Well, now if she's the lead Vanguard ship, that's going to proc immediately, and she's going to deal an increase of 8% extra damage across the board. This totally just kind of changes the whole concept of this skill. Obviously, she was meant to kind of, you know, shoot down enemies and build up her stacks. Now you can just put her in the front of the Vanguard, and she'll get those immediately from the start. I mean, this makes her a lot better. That gimmick was something that made her bad. So removing that gimmick, while kind of the concept of her type of ship when she first released, actually makes her better. This is a really good augment module, but she was a really bad ship to start with. So, you know, take it or leave it. But obviously, if you're going to run Venus Vacation, you're probably going to run her, and thus you need this augment module to make her decent. Next up, we're going to talk about the light cruiser Misaki's augment module. I wasn't too kind to her when she first came out either. Her augment module is going to give her 32 firepower and 20 reload, so it's going to help her out on more damage basically. For the first 60 seconds of the battle, every 10 seconds she's going to heal 1.5%, so that's going to proc 6 times. It's actually a 9% heal over the first minute of the battle. That's kind of nice. And then afterwards she's going to take 5% less damage for the rest of the battle. I almost feel like those kind of could be flipped, because you want to have the damage reduction at, you know, the beginning when you're taking damage, and then you want to heal it off. Kasumi had the right idea. This one's flipped. Obviously it's 9% heal, so that's actually pretty significant, especially coming from an augment module, but I'm not sure that's gonna be enough to make Misaki come off of the collection tier. The skill upgrade that she's going to have is going to basically tack on a clause that says for the first 60 seconds, she's also going to increase her damage from firepower damage by 12% against enemies. Just a straight damage increase. It's going to help, you know, keep her up with the times of damage, but I don't think Misaki is going to be meta after this augment module, but I will say that Misaki and Kasumi's augment modules definitely are going to make a dent. Like, these were not good ships before. Kasumi's augment module is probably a little better than Misaki's, but they're both pretty decent in terms of the augment module. I wish we could put these on ships that were better, because these are good augment modules. They're just going on bad ships. Next up, we're going to move into the elite ships. Let's start with Nagisa, the often forgotten battleship of this event. She has a fixed barrage at 18 seconds, but also a slow that's tied to her main gun firing, but not a barrage. Yeah, I know. I had to look that up. I didn't remember that either. Anyway, her augment module gives her 35 firepower, good for a battleship, and 15 reload will help get her slow a little bit earlier. She's also, for the first 40 seconds, going to get 10% extra firepower, and then after that 40 seconds, she's going to get 10% extra reload stat. And then this augment module will upgrade her slow, and basically, in addition to the slow that happens when she fires her main gun, it will also reduce their evasion by 10%, so make them easier to hit in both regards. Nagisa's still bad even with this, but I guess it helps. Next up, let's talk about Nyotengu, the elite carrier that was awful, and yet everyone still loves her because waifu over meta. Her augment module gives her 35 aviation and 17 hit stat, so we like where this is starting. And then for the first 40 seconds of the battle, she increases her damage by 10%. That's nice. And then she, after that, takes 5% less damage, you know, straight damage modifiers. Man, that seems to be a theme for just upgrading these Venus vacation ships. Also, she's going to upgrade one of her skills. Her special airstrike that she launches when she launches an airstrike will now have a 100% proc chance instead of 70%, which is nice. And it will reduce the damage taken by your lead Vanguard ship by 12%, which actually for some reason seems like it's supposed to pair with Kasumi's augment module. Nyotengu is still bad. I mean, she's awful, but fun, I guess. We just threw on a bunch of damage modifiers and now she can, you know, at least clear some things in higher level maps without just like pulling your hair out. All right, last and probably least, Monica, an elite light cruiser. She's going to get 32 extra torpedo stat and 20 extra anti-air. For the first 21 seconds, she's going to increase her anti-air by 15%. And then after that, she's going to increase her damage by 15%. And that's no joke. And it only comes in at 21 seconds. So, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, we're starting. We're getting something. If that was on like a decent SR light cruiser, like we'd start to be very excited here. But anyway, moving on to the skill. So basically, she's going to have an upgraded skill that instead of increasing her torpedo stat and anti-air when she shoots down 5 enemy aircraft, she's going to increase those stats for all of your Vanguard still after she shoots down 5 enemy aircraft. Okay, Monica's still bad even with this module, so yeah. All right, guys, that is the whole new event. It is a rerun event, the first one ever of a collaboration event, so that is definitely historical. It should be a little bit easier to clear because we'll be remembering progress if you have played the first event. I really like the concept of 2 banners, one for new players where you have basically the old event copied, and then one for veteran players where just the new ships are rate up. I like that a lot. That is a great concept. Good job, Yostar and Manju. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoy the new event. Take care, guys, and until next time.